Would you raise your hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please state your full name?
I'm Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands.
Do you maintain any other residences presently?
I have vacation homes in New Mexico, Palm Beach, New York, and Paris.
On the morning of August 10th, 2019, a steel door inside the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan failed to open. Behind it, on the concrete floor of a federal jail cell, Jeffrey Epstein lay dead. Within hours, the news raced across the world. Suicide, authorities said. But the story did not end there. It detonated. Because Epstein was not merely a criminal. He was a node. A man embedded in wealth, power, politics, intelligence, and secrecy. And when he died, the question shifted from what did he do to who did he take with him. The phrase Epstein Files entered the public lexicon almost immediately. It referred not to a single folder, but to a sprawling constellation of sealed court records, flight logs, phone books, plea deals, and testimonies, documents that hinted at a vast network of abuse and protection. To understand why those files matter, you have to understand how Epstein came to exist at all. Jeffrey Epstein's origin story is suspicious precisely because it is so thin. Born in Brooklyn in 1953 to working-class parents, Epstein showed early aptitude in math and science. He attended college but never completed a degree. Yet somehow, by his mid-20s, he was teaching at the ultra-elite Dalton School in Manhattan, an institution attended by the children of New York's wealthiest families. There were rumors even then. Epstein socialized far above his station. He cultivated donors, parents, and power brokers. He was fired quietly in the mid-1970s, though no public reason was ever given. What followed defied logic. By the early 1980s, Epstein was working on Wall Street, despite lacking credentials, then abruptly left to form his own financial firm. His one confirmed client was billionaire Leslie Wexner, founder of L Brands. Through Wexner, Epstein gained access not just to money, but to elite social circles, private aircraft, and legal protection. No one could clearly explain what Epstein actually did to make his fortune. That mystery would become a pattern. Epstein didn't live like a normal rich man. He lived like someone building zones of control. There was the Manhattan Mansion, one of the largest private homes in New York City, equipped with surveillance systems and hidden rooms. There was the Palm Beach estate in Florida, located blocks from the ocean. There was the ranch in New Mexico. And then there was the island. Little St. James, a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands, quickly earned a nickname among locals, the Island of Secrets. Epstein installed docks, airstrips, security towers, and cameras. Visitors were flown in, often on private jets, sometimes without passports. Flight manifests, later known as the Lolita Express logs, would show a steady stream of politicians, businessmen, academics, and royalty passing through Epstein's world. At the time, almost no one asked why. The abuse followed a system. Girls, often from vulnerable backgrounds, were recruited under the guise of massage work. They were paid cash. Once inside Epstein's properties, boundaries were tested, then erased. Many reported being pressured to recruit other girls, creating a self-perpetuating pipeline. What made Epstein different from other abusers was scale and impunity. Victims later testified that powerful men were present, that cameras were everywhere, that Epstein seemed unconcerned with consequences, and for years, he was right. The first major crack appeared in Palm Beach, Florida. In 2005, a local mother reported that Epstein had paid her 14-year-old daughter for sexual acts. Police began investigating. Detectives soon realized the case was not isolated. There were dozens of girls, all telling similar stories. Palm Beach police assembled a detailed report recommending felony charges. That's when the system intervened. Federal prosecutors took over the case, specifically the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, and the Southern District of Florida. Behind closed doors, negotiations began. In 2008, Epstein received an unprecedented plea deal. He pled guilty to state charges only. He served 13 months in a county jail, with work release allowing him to leave 6 days a week for up to 12 hours a day. Federal charges were dropped. Crucially, the deal granted immunity to unnamed co-conspirators. The victims were not told. Years later, judges would call the deal illegal. At the time, it worked exactly as intended. After his release, Epstein was a registered sex offender, but he continued traveling, hosting, networking. He was photographed with presidents and prime ministers. Names circulated in whispers: Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, European royalty, tech executives, intelligence-linked academics. To be clear, presence does not equal guilt. Many individuals deny knowledge of Epstein's crimes or severed ties once allegations surfaced. But the sheer density of power around him raised an unavoidable question. Why was a known sex offender still being protected? In 2015, one of Epstein's survivors, Virginia Giuffre, filed a civil lawsuit that forced previously sealed documents into public view. Depositions, emails, flight logs, testimony naming powerful figures, sometimes directly, sometimes obliquely. These documents became collectively known as the Epstein Files. They suggested organized trafficking, surveillance, and blackmail, systematic legal shielding, possible intelligence intersections. They did not by themselves prove a single unified conspiracy, but they revealed patterns too consistent to ignore. In July 2019, federal prosecutors in New York arrested Epstein on sex trafficking charges. This time, the case was real. Bail was denied. For the first time, Epstein faced the possibility of a public trial. He would never reach one. On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his cell. Guards were asleep. Cameras malfunctioned. His cellmate had been removed. The official ruling: suicide. Public reaction: disbelief. The phrase "Epstein didn't kill himself" became a cultural shorthand, not as a definitive claim, but as a symbol of institutional mistrust. Because whether Epstein died by his own hand or not, the effect was the same. He could no longer testify. For years, Jeffrey Epstein was the face of the scandal, but behind him stood someone who understood power, proximity, and silence far better than he ever did. Her name was Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell was not a passive companion. She was an organizer, recruiter, and enforcer, someone who moved easily through elite circles while managing the logistics of exploitation behind the scenes. Born into extraordinary privilege, she was the daughter of Robert Maxwell, a media tycoon whose own death in 1991, falling from his yacht under mysterious circumstances, sparked allegations of fraud, espionage, and intelligence ties that were never fully resolved. Ghislaine grew up among politicians, intelligence figures, and royalty. She understood discretion as a currency, and when Epstein needed someone to help him scale his operation, she was uniquely qualified. One of the most persistent myths surrounding Epstein is that his crimes were chaotic or impulsive. They were not. Victim testimony shows a repeatable system. Identify vulnerable girls, financial stress, unstable homes, normalize sexualized massages, incrementally escalate abuse, introduce rewards and consequences, coerce victims into recruiting others. Maxwell's name appears again and again in these accounts. Survivors described her, scheduling encounters, giving instructions, monitoring behavior, punishing disobedience, framing abuse as training or normal. This wasn't just exploitation, it was conditioning. And it functioned because the girls were isolated, disbelieved, and made to feel complicit in their own abuse. One of the most dangerous aspects of the Epstein story is how easily it can drift into speculation. So it's important to draw a clear line between documented facts and unproven claims. What is documented? Epstein had access to powerful people. Powerful people visited his properties. Epstein maintained detailed records, contacts, photos, flight logs. His 2008 plea deal protected unnamed co-conspirators. What is not proven? That Epstein definitively blackmailed specific individuals, that he acted on behalf of a single intelligence agency, that all visitors were aware of criminal activity. But patterns matter. Epstein installed cameras in private rooms. He kept meticulous contact lists. He cultivated relationships with people who had something to lose. Multiple intelligence experts have noted that sexual compromising material, is a historically common leverage tool. Whether Epstein used it directly, indirectly, or merely understood its value remains one of the central unanswered questions of the case. The flight logs became symbolic. Epstein's private jets, nicknamed by the press, transported guests between New York, Florida, New Mexico, Paris, and the Virgin Islands. These logs were later unsealed as part of civil litigation. They showed names, dates, destinations. But logs alone do not show intent, behavior, or knowledge. Some individuals listed have denied ever visiting Epstein's island. Others acknowledge flights but deny wrongdoing. A few have admitted they regret the association. Still, the logs shattered the illusion that Epstein was a fringe figure. He wasn't. He was embedded. In 2015, survivor Virginia Giuffre filed a civil defamation lawsuit that would force the Epstein story into the open. Her allegations were explosive. But more importantly, her case triggered discovery, legal mechanisms that compelled the release of sealed documents. Depositions revealed that Epstein's abuse was widely rumored, that warnings were ignored, that some witnesses feared retaliation, that powerful names circulated internally for years. Judges repeatedly criticized prosecutors for prioritizing Epstein's protection over victims' rights. The phrase Epstein Files came to describe not a single trove, but a slow bleed of truth, released document by document, year by year. After Epstein's death, attention shifted. If Epstein could no longer be tried, who could? In July 2020, federal agents arrested Ghislaine Maxwell at a secluded property in New Hampshire. She was charged with sex trafficking of minors, conspiracy, perjury. Her defense strategy was simple: distance herself from Epstein's crimes and portray herself as unfairly scapegoated. The jury didn't buy it. Maxwell's trial in 2021 was quieter than Epstein's arrest, but far more consequential. 4 survivors testified. They described being groomed, being trafficked, being silenced, being told powerful people would protect Epstein. Notably, the trial did not focus on naming or prosecuting Epstein's alleged clients. The scope was narrow by design. In December 2021, Maxwell was convicted on multiple counts. She was later sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. Still, one question lingered. Why wasn't anyone else charged? The Epstein case exposed a structural truth about power and accountability. Criminal cases require evidence that meets an exacting legal standard, cooperative witnesses, prosecutorial will, political insulation. Epstein's network existed in the spaces between those requirements. Many potential witnesses were traumatized. Others feared reputation or legal consequences. Some evidence was lost. Some deals were sealed. Some statutes of limitation expired. Justice did not fail in a single moment. It eroded over decades. Strip away the myths, memes, and speculation, and the Epstein Files prove something both simpler and more disturbing than any grand conspiracy. They prove that extreme wealth and power can delay accountability almost indefinitely. They prove that institutions protect themselves before they protect victims. They prove that abuse doesn't need secrecy to survive, only disbelief. And they prove that when a system fails long enough, people stop trusting official explanations at all. To understand why intelligence speculation attached itself so firmly to Epstein, one must revisit the life and death of Ghislaine Maxwell's father. Robert Maxwell was not simply a media tycoon. He was a man who moved between governments, financial systems, and intelligence communities with unusual ease. After his death in 1991, investigations revealed massive pension fraud, financial manipulation, suspected ties to multiple intelligence services. Former intelligence officials later alleged that Maxwell had acted as an intermediary, someone useful precisely because he was deniable. This matters because intelligence agencies do not typically recruit criminals for ideological loyalty. They recruit for access, and Epstein had access. The concept of compromat, compromising material used to exert influence, is not fictional. It is documented, historic, and effective. Intelligence agencies have long understood that. Money can be traced, orders can be disobeyed, but shame creates silence. Epstein's properties were filled with cameras. His guests were powerful. His victims were vulnerable. His record-keeping was obsessive. If compromat existed, it would not need to be used frequently. The possibility alone would be sufficient. Still, no document has surfaced proving Epstein ran a blackmail operation on behalf of any government. What has surfaced is something subtler, a pattern of non-intervention. The 2008 plea deal remains the single most suspicious moment in the Epstein saga. Federal prosecutors declined to pursue trafficking charges, secretly negotiated immunity for unnamed co-conspirators, failed to notify victims, violating federal law. Later investigations concluded the deal was extraordinary and highly unusual. The question is not whether prosecutors made a mistake. The question is why no one stopped it. Federal cases are reviewed. Plea deals pass through layers of approval. Silence at that scale requires either incompetence or consent, and incompetence becomes harder to believe the longer the pattern repeats. The Epstein story is often framed as a triumph of investigative journalism. That framing is only half true. Yes, reporters ultimately exposed Epstein's crimes. But for years, major outlets chose not to publish. In some cases, editors killed stories after legal threats. Sources were pressured to soften language. Networks buried segments that implicated powerful figures. One prominent journalist later revealed that her network had credible allegations years earlier, but declined to air them due to pressure from above. This was not censorship in the traditional sense. No government memo was issued. Instead, the system worked the way it always does. Risk aversion, access journalism, fear of litigation, protection of advertisers and relationships. Silence did not require conspiracy. It required alignment. As public distrust grew, Epstein was gradually transformed into something almost mythical, a criminal mastermind orchestrating a vast global operation. That myth is comforting, because if Epstein was uniquely evil, then the system itself remains intact. But the truth is more unsettling. Epstein did not outsmart the system. He exploited its incentives. Institutions protect reputation. Wealth buys delay. Power discourages scrutiny. Epstein thrived because the system functioned exactly as designed. Lost amid speculation and politics are the people most affected. Survivors did not receive closure from Epstein's death. They received erasure. Many spoke of a second trauma. Watching attention shift away from victims, seeing the story reduced to memes, realizing the men who enabled abuse would likely never face trial. For them, the Epstein Files are not mysteries. They are reminders. The deepest scandal of the Epstein case is not hidden tapes or secret agencies. It is something more banal and more dangerous. Predictability. Every step followed precedent. Victims dismissed. Whistleblowers ignored. Power insulated. Accountability delayed. Justice diluted. Nothing about Epstein required a shadowy cabal. It required a system willing to look away. The Epstein story persists because it represents an unresolved equation. We know crimes occurred. We know protection existed. We know accountability was incomplete. But we do not know the full extent of who benefited or how. Until institutions demonstrate that wealth and power no longer confer immunity, Epstein will remain a symbol, not of conspiracy, but of collapse.